Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Gene's Wrestling Collection here. If you haven't yet, please take a moment to subscribe, as we've got tons of great wrestling content and more coming each and every day. So if you would, like I say, take a moment, subscribe to the channel. You won't regret it. We've got a lot of good stuff already here and a lot more coming. But as I promised you in the last episode, today we're going to look at a few of the Roddy Piper items I have in my collection. One of my all-time favorite wrestlers. One of the wrestlers that I was most excited to get the chance to meet. And the first time that we got a chance to meet Roddy Piper was at Greg Price's NWA Legends Fan Fest in, I think this one was in Atlanta, if I'm not mistaken, the first one we went to. And he had Roddy Piper there, and they had photo ops on the Piper's Pit set. So me and my wife Rosie there got a chance to meet Roddy and get a picture on the Piper's Pit set. There you see he signed the picture. And you know, I've mentioned in the past here in a podcast and other places, you hear a lot of horror stories from people who, they look up to somebody and idolize them in some cases, and a big fan of somebody, and then they get a chance to meet them, and it's very disappointing. It doesn't live up to expectations, or sometimes they're even, rude. So I was very excited to meet Piper, because, I've been a fan of Piper, going back to, as a little kid, watching Hulk Hogan's Rockin' Wrestling cartoon. Roddy Piper was on that. And then just growing up, WrestleMania 1, straight up to when I went to Nashville to see him wrestle Hogan at Starrcade '96. So I was looking forward to this and just hoping and praying that it would be a good experience and it wouldn't be something that would diminish my fandom of him moving forward. But to say it was a good experience would just be an absolute understatement. Roddy Piper was one of the nicest, most humble guys I've ever met, just in life in general. The guy had been a huge wrestling star. He'd been a movie star, a pop culture icon of the 80s and 90s. He could have been just a complete prick. But he was so nice to everybody. The line took a long time because he took time with every single person. Would sit and talk and ask you. I've said this before, and it's not an exaggeration. And I've seen other people say the same thing, that when you met Piper, he genuinely seemed as excited to meet you as you were to meet him. And he was very nice to me and Rosie. Actually got an opportunity to meet him 2 different times. And so the first time, like I say, here at the Legends Fan Fest, and then we went to a Ring of Honor show in Nashville at the fairgrounds, and they had Piper there as a guest. And so we went through the line and met AJ Styles, and that was not a great experience. I'll talk more about that in the future if we ever go over the couple of AJ Styles things I have in my collection. But Rosie was super excited to meet AJ Styles. She had been a big TNA fan from the early days of TNA up until the time when Hogan and them came in and it kind of fell off a cliff. AJ Styles had been one of her favorite wrestlers, and AJ had just left TNA. It was in the interim of him leaving TNA and then eventually going to WWE, and he did not seem excited to be there. Was just very ill and not very friendly at all, and it kind of ruined Rosie's fandom of AJ Styles. She really hasn't gave a shit about AJ Styles since. So Piper was over there, and I had a couple of items I wanted to get him to sign. So I was like, well, let's go through the line and meet Roddy again. So we went through. We got another picture with Roddy Piper. Got him to sign a couple things, and again, it was just like when we met him the first time. Just super nice, and like I say, just took time to talk to everybody, and it was just a really good experience. I haven't met or heard of anybody who's had a bad experience meeting Roddy Piper. Bob Evans, guy I've had on the podcast a few times, and well known in the pro wrestling circles, has a really nice story you can find on his Facebook about interactions with Roddy Piper. So let's take a look at a few things we got in the collection. Now you would expect, being my age, and the collection of LJN figures I have, which we'll be looking at in the future for sure, that I would have a really good LJN Roddy Piper. I don't. The only one I have is the one that I had when I was a little kid, and it is beat to death beyond anything that my wife, who did go through and touch up and clean up a lot of the ones I had as a kid. There really wasn't much hope for the Roddy Piper one, so I'm still on the search to get a really good Roddy Piper LJN for my collection. But I do have this Jack specific one, which is a nice one. I have a lot, still in the package, men on card, as they say in the collecting circles. I don't have one of Piper. I need to remedy that at some point. But anyway, this is a good figure and a nice depiction of Roddy Piper from back in the day. One of the favorite things I have is this Roddy Piper Coliseum video. One of my favorite Coliseum video collections there is. There's it was pretty innovative for the time. There is actually a Piper's Pit segment where Roddy interviews Roddy, and there's some pretty good lines in that. It's pretty funny. This one I got from a Blockbuster video that sold it used in Tupelo, Mississippi, and so I've had this one since I was a kid. Watched it countless times, and again, a favorite of mine. I wish we had recently moved when we met Roddy, and this was packed up somewhere, and I couldn't locate it, so I wasn't able to get him to sign it either time that we met him, and that's regrettable. I really would have liked to have had that one signed. And then just another, like I said, I've got quite a few Coliseum videos. I love these old clamshell cased Coliseum videos. I've only got a handful left that I need to get to complete my whole collection of those. But the Wrestling Classic, where he took on Hulk Hogan, one of the many times he took on Hulk Hogan for the championship as part of the big Wrestling Classic tournament in Chicago back in, I think that was 86, I believe. Maybe it was 85, I don't know. Here's one item I did find that I was able to get signed by Roddy in Nashville, and this was his original DVD compilation that the WWE put out, and it's a really good one. That's one thing, people can knock, the booking and the stories and different things over the years with WWE. One thing they've always done really well are these documentaries, and this one's a favorite of mine as well. DVD's pretty widely available on eBay, Amazon, but it's also on Peacock for the most part. You can check it out there. But then we also got a picture signed in Nashville the same day we got that DVD signed. And again, great interaction, really memorable. And then the one last thing I got here is an advertisement for that video we just took a look at, Roddy Piper's Greatest Hits. And I got that hanging on the wall over there above my my Coliseum video collection. I got a few others that we'll take a look at in due time. But again, I just can't say enough nice things about my experience meeting Roddy Piper the couple of times that I got the chance to. And I've got a few other Piper-related items in the collection, but those are the few we'll look at today. They'll turn up in other videos where it pertains to WrestleMania and different things like that. But these are just a few I wanted to look at today, and I just wanted to, early in this series of my collection, just really drive home what a great guy Roddy Piper was, and what a pleasure it was to meet him. I was such a fan that I watched all his movies. The video store in the town I grew up in got all those movies with Billy Blanks, Back in Action, and I've got a few of those around here somewhere. As a matter of fact, like here's one. Tough and Deadly with Roddy Piper and Billy Blanks, who would later be of Tybo fame. He had not yet invented or discovered Tybo at the time, but he would go on to do that. But I was a fan of those movies. Yeah, you can pick them apart if you're a big movie buff, but to me, what stood out about Piper is I could watch a movie with Roddy Piper and buy into the character that he was playing. But like for instance, his counterpart Hulk Hogan, it doesn't matter what you put Hulk Hogan in. He can be a spaceman in Suburban Commando. You can put him in a tutu and Mr. Nanny, but he's Hulk Hogan. It does. You don't believe he's this character. You just believe that Hulk Hogan is in this movie and is, you know, playing a part. But there's never a moment in a Hulk Hogan movie or TV show or anything that Hulk Hogan has ever done that you weren't totally aware that, hey, this is Hulk Hogan. And I'm not knocking him. I mean, it's just because that's just the who he is, how he looks, his character, all that comes together. But in these movies with Roddy Piper, where he plays cops and bounty hunters and Nada and They Live and all that, you can get lost in the movie and accept Roddy Piper as his character. But like where Hulk Hogan's he's Hulk Hogan. The Rock is kind of like Hogan to some degree, where you're always kind of aware that, hey, this is The Rock playing this part. But I've always said that I think of all the wrestlers who crossed over into movies, I think Roddy Piper is one of the best. I think John Cena's doing a pretty good job of it nowadays. But all in all, I think Piper in that era was definitely the best of any of the wrestlers who did movies. But if you feel otherwise, if there's someone else you think was comparable or even better, put it in the comments. I'd love to hear what you have to say and maybe have a conversation about it. But anyway, that's all for this time. We'll be back next week with another episode of Gene's Wrestling Collection. I haven't decided what next week's going to be, so you'll just have to tune in next week and find out. And I'll have some more fun stuff from the old Wrestling Collection for us to check out and talk about. Thanks for watching it again. Please subscribe to the channel and help us out, and we'll continue to give you great wrestling content on a daily basis. See you next time.